Alright, so today I will go over and explain the insanity that is the Arthur Adventure arc. Now this arc had a lot of plot twists and unexpected characters, but it was also extremely funny as we got to follow Arthur being a knight, and I would definitely recommend you stick to the end because this is an arc you don't want to miss. Anyway, with that said, please leave a like and a comment on this video and grab your favorite snacks. And with that out of the way, let's get right into it. Alright, so we get to Asakusa, where Yu says that he's never heard of orichalcum, Lisa adds on, and asks if it's even real, and Vulcan says that it isn't. After that, Iris comes and is happy to see Yu. Yu says that he came as fast as he could after Vulcan called him. After that, Yu gets close to Vulcan and asks what he is going to do, and asks if he just ran his mouth to get Arthur back on his feet. However, Vulcan tells him to cool it and listen. He says that Arthur's self-image as a knight is the key to his strength. The stronger it is, the stronger he is. So the key is making him think what they want him to think. Meaning that in other words, they are going to make their own legend. And they are going to pretend that they found orichalcum. Yu asks if he and Lisa is also going to be dragged into this, and Lisa just asks him if they can make it work. Vulcan says that they are dealing with Arthur, and that it's not going to be difficult, but if they want to trick him, then the more people the better. Vulcan looks intense, as he says that the battle at Fuchu was a reminder that their enemies are complete monsters, so if they're going to fight them, Arthur's absolutely going to need a power-up, saying that Company 8's in trouble if Arthur doesn't progress from where he is now. Yu isn't really sold on the idea, and Vulcan agrees with him, as he says that it's absolutely ridiculous. But when Arthur's concerned, the absurd becomes natural, so they are going to need to drop their IQ a little for this. Lisa says that speaking of Arthur, where is he? Vulcan explains that he is outside itching to get started, and Vulcan doesn't think that they can keep him waiting any longer, and says that he's already got the fake orichalcum prepped, and tells them to roll out. However, before that, Yu asks Vulcan just how far they need to drop their IQ exactly. Vulcan, with a funny tone, says that they need to drop it so far down that they strike orichalcum. But as Vulcan is proud over that line, Lisa and Yu trash talk him. Anyway, after that they walk out, and Vulcan apologizes to Arthur for keeping him waiting, but he says that he brought some comrades with him. Arthur smiles and says that a 4-man party will make this royally easy. Vulcan says that they need to find information about orichalcum, and Arthur agrees, saying that they need a clue. But still it's a legendary metal that no man has laid eyes on, he says. But Vulcan says that he's heard rumors of a man with information on it, which shocks Arthur. Vulcan then says that the owner of the pickle shop knows about it, which leaves all three of them confused, and Arthur asks why it's a pickle shop. Both Yu and Lisa say that Arthur is beginning to doubt him, but Vulcan tells them not to be impatient, and he asks Arthur to think about it, saying, how does a pickle maker weigh down his pickle press? With stones, of course, which makes a pickle pro, a stone pro. Arthur then calls Vulcan a genius and says that it's perfect, and that nobody would think to look there, and he then says that they should press the owner for details at once. Yu says that he had low expectations, but that Arthur really is an idiot. After that they arrive at the pickle shop, and Arthur goes up to the owner and asks him where he might find some orichalcum. He explains that a lot of people say that the orichalcum is at the kimono dealer's shop. This leaves everyone shocked, and Arthur asks him to tell him more. The owner looks over at Vulcan to see if he should tell more, and Vulcan nods. However, the owner just says the same thing again, and Arthur calls him an NPC before starting to walk away, and says that they should still follow the good sir's instructions, and Vulcan agrees with Arthur. As they are leaving, the owner says that Company 8 is a whole gang of weirdos, and asks himself if he's really going to believe that this hunk of steel is a metal of the legend, and that it's being used as a pickling stone. After that, we see Joker and Benimaru sitting. Joker says that he's always been lost since the very beginning, but even now, supporting the Empire's enemies, nothing's changed, and says that they did the right thing with taking in Company 8. And Benimaru says that Asakusa hasn't changed either, saying that this country and this whole world are all a damn lie. All the people greater than himself, more powerful than himself. Everything makes him feel sick, and he would want to rip all of it to pieces. Joker asks if it isn't a pretty violent outlook, but Benimaru says that it is, as he's never known what the right thing to do is, and that all he wants is to wreck anyone who gets better treatment than him and protect anyone weaker than him, ending it by saying that a thug like himself is no leader. Joker asks if Benimaru means that whatever he does is right, and anyone he kicks the shit out of is the bad guy, saying that it sounds like a king. Benimaru is quiet before saying that Conro said the same thing. He continues and says that the 8th are getting ready for a fight, and that he doesn't think that he will have much choice but to join them. Joker tells Benimaru that they aren't the only guys who's on the 8th side. This caught Benimaru's attention, as Joker says that he isn't the only one from the Nether who doesn't like the Empire, After that, we get back to Arthur, where he's just gotten a spade, and announces that they are going to the barber next. He then goes to a tree and says that this must be Yggdrasil, the world tree, and says that there will be a hint in the roots of the tree, and as he begins to dig into the ground, he finds something. It's a piece of paper which says that they say it's darkest beneath the lighthouse. Sometimes the answer was right under their nose. The orichalcum is at the first shop you stop by. However, somehow Arthur misunderstands this clue, as he says that it's in the Nether and not in the pickle shop, which the answer was supposed to be. This leaves all three of them stunned, and Yu tries to make Arthur understand, but it's like talking to a wall as he says that, of course, a metal of legend that no man has ever seen would be in the Nether. Both Yu and Lisa are telling Vulcan to do something as they say that he made it too hard, but then Arthur puts on his cape and says that they are going to the Nether, which leaves even Vulcan shocked. The text then says that orichalcum is a legendary metal from the fabled island of Atlantis, a mineral of extreme rarity, a stone shrouded in myth that has entered the realm of the legendary, a perfect fit for forging the legendary sword Excalibur, and if you seek to forge Excalibur, then there's no more fitting metal than orichalcum. We are then back to Arthur, who says that it's all written right here on this treasure map, and that it's written in ancient runes, so he doesn't know the meaning, but it says dark, which is enough for him, and with that, he knows that Excalibur is in the Nether. You still try to convince him, but he's too far gone, and Vulcan says that they need to change the strategy as they are walking. Vulcan asks if you are listening, as he says that the first thing he needs to know about idiots is that they are hasty and that they jump to conclusions without thinking, and asks him if he's ever heard the term to short circuit. Yu says that he believes so, and Vulcan says that you know what happens when you directly connect the positive and negative terminals of a battery. You say that it can start fires. Vulcan then says that it's kind of like idiots have a short circuit in their brain, and that you're supposed to think about things from every angle and look at all the available options, and then you'll find the best one. Lisa adds in that the problem here was that there were too many things between him and the answer, so he couldn't get there. Even then, Lisa smiles as she says that this takes her back to her old lessons with both Vulcan and Yu, and after that, Vulcan hugs them both and says that they are going to fix this short circuit. Arthur then looks back and asks what they are doing as they need to hurry up and look for the entrance to the Nether. After that, we see that they have gone to a mystery door and is planning to enter. We also see a flashback to a young girl asking for help to get her cat down from a tree, but Arthur refused as they were in a side quest and just left, which is pretty funny anyway. Arthur says that they can't turn back now, and they enter the door. As they are walking down there, you get super scared as he starts to not make sense, but Arthur lightly punches him on the head and tells him to keep it together. You asks him why he did that, and Arthur says that they are in the Nether, and if you lose your head, then this place will look right inside one's soul, and tells you to keep it together. And you says that he understands as he walks side by side with Arthur. Vulcan stops for a second and says that Lisa has come this far into the Nether, and asks how she is holding up. Lisa doesn't respond, but Vulcan says that he's sure that Lisa can't remember everything that happened here in the past. Lisa then gets fired up and says that there's no use in looking back and that she is just looking forward now. But still, she says that she still feels some terror towards Giovanni, but says that she is sure that the time will come where she will have to get over him. Vulcan says that he will be there with her when the time comes and break him to pieces. As they continue to walk for a bit, Vulcan says that Arthur is the one who dragged them down here and asks what the point of this is, as they can't find anything. Lisa asks Vulcan if they will be able to get out, and Vulcan assures her that he remembers the way. Suddenly, Arthur tells them to wait up as something is deeper in. He explains that he was young when his father and mother disappeared, and that they said that they were off to save the world, and that he's certain that they went on their own adventure like this. After that, Lisa says that they have been at this for an hour already, but Vulcan says that they should let him do this until he's satisfied, saying that there's bound to be a ton of metal down here, and that they just need to find something that they can call orichalcum. But Lisa says that if they keep playing this game, they are going to end up deeper in the Nether, which is dangerous. So she says that she will whip out the final boss and call it a day, and suddenly Lisa gets her tentacles out to make it look like a final boss, and makes her voice different as she tells them to turn around and that she is the ruler of the abyss, saying that they will not take the orichalcum which lies ahead. But suddenly it all goes into pieces as Arthur looks back and sees Lisa doing it. He tells Lisa to be an adult as she is setting a bad example for you. Lisa says that he's more perceptive than she thought. Vulcan tells her to stop making things worse and that it will ruin the adventure, but she is just angry that it's already been going on for an hour. Arthur then mocks Lisa, which makes her super angry, but Vulcan holds her back. But suddenly Arthur gets serious as he says that he's able to sense something. You get scared, and Vulcan asks if he is serious, and Arthur tells them to stand back as two people are coming their way. Vulcan says that this isn't good as his Excalibur is still broken, but Arthur says that he is a knight who wouldn't let a little thing like that get to him, saying that his mother and father are out there right now fighting to save the world, saying that he will send them flying with the knightly martial arts Avalon stance, just as mother and father would. The smoke is beginning to clear, and Arthur asks who's there when suddenly his mother and father appear and say that it's been a long time. Arthur is just shocked to the max and asks why they are here of all places, while you, Lisa, and Vulcan can't believe anything. Arthur's father asks if they didn't tell him, referring to the note that they are saving the world. Arthur gets excited and asks him if he's still out saving the world. Lisa asks Vulcan if he planned this, but he says that there's no way that he would have been able to. Vulcan is surprised to learn that they are actually Arthur's parents, but Arthur says that he expected nothing less from them, saying that they do honor to the names King and Queen. After that, his mother says that she recognizes his uniform and says that Arthur has to be a fire soldier. His father adds in that Arthur has also been fighting to save the world. Arthur smirks and says that since the day they departed, he has become the Night King, and to be both Night King and fire soldier, it's tough to be a man of many hats. Vulcan tries to say something, but he gets interrupted as Arthur's parents compliment him, and Arthur says that he's a knight after all. Vulcan puts his hand before Arthur's face and says that it's like having 3 Arthurs and that he isn't ready for this, and asks Arthur's parents to explain what's going on. But Arthur tells him not to think but to feel, which is so stupid that it becomes funny, and Vulcan screams at him that he has to do less feeling and more thinking. After that, his father speaks up and says that his intuition tells him that they are Arthur's fire soldier buddies. Vulcan asks him if it's really his intuition, or the fact that they are wearing the same uniform. His father looks mad before his father and mother both says that they are the resistance and that they do work to undo the corruption that has taken root in this country, and Vulcan just asks them what they are talking about. Arthur's mother says that if put plainly, they had debts that they needed to skip out on, and the father came up with a wild story that she has just been going along with, explaining that they have been playing make-believe resistance down here in the Nether. You asks why they would do something that stupid, but the mother says that she couldn't just let him head off into the Nether by himself, saying that it was dangerous, and Arthur was just a child, so she couldn't rightly bring him, saying that even though her husband is a nutcase, she adore him. Lisa gets mad as she asks if that's why they left Arthur behind, and Arthur is just blinded by his mother's words. However, his father then says that everything that they have done has been in order to avert calamity. The mother says that the Holy Soul Temple, the worship of the Sun God, all of it was created to control people, and an extra-dimensional being known as the Evangelist seeks to cause a second great cataclysm and destroy their world. Lisa asks how they know about that, and she then says that spontaneous human combustion is caused by another version of them from hell impinging on their world. Vulcan asks them real quick where they have heard about all of that. However, she tells them that they can thank her husband as he comes up with the wildest stories. Vulcan then turns to him and asks how he knows all of that. He just says that he wishes that he could give him an easy how, but then he puts on his hat and says that he is a prophet, saying that back when the restaurant went under, they were in real dire straits financially, and that he didn't have much choice but to put his hat down and avoid reality, which is so lame. But sure, Arthur then came and asked him why he was looking in his hat, and asked if he was able to see anything, but he didn't get a real answer. After that, we get to see Arthur sleeping, and his parents say that they are off to save the world and that they love him. We are then back to reality, where Lisa, with a worried tone, says Vulcan's name. But he says that this guy is cracked, and his story is cracked, and even if he doesn't want to listen to it anymore, it's still way too convenient, but still saying that it might be a trap. Vulcan asks him if his prophecy showed him showing up here, and his father says that he did feel like Arthur would come looking for something. Arthur smirks and says that he is right, and that he's looking for orichalcum in order to forge the true Excalibur. After that, the father turns around and asks them to follow him. Before they follow him, Lisa says that Vulcan trusts people too easily, and asks him to remember how she tricked him. However, Vulcan looks at her and says that she is with them now and that there's nothing to worry about. You asks Arthur if they really are his parents, and Arthur says that they obviously are, as trickery is useless against him, as his eyes would not be deceived. Suddenly they arrive at some sort of junk heap. The mother explains that this is all technology from before the cataclysm, and that they're machines they have collected, and out of nowhere, his father takes out something pointy. Arthur is confused and asks what this is, and Vulcan asks if it's the fairing of a spaceship. The father compliments Vulcan and says that he knows his stuff before saying that this thing's covered in a special heat-resistant aluminium alloy, and that it can take temperatures upwards of 2000 to 3000 degrees Celsius without any signs of warping. But the only thing that Arthur hears is that it's fitting for the holy blade. Yu tries to tell him, but Lisa tells him to stay quiet and let him believe it. Then out of nowhere, 3 kids comes out and calls Arthur's father and mother for mom and dad. His father explains that they had them when they came to the Nether. Yu is confused, but Lisa tells him to drop it. Still, Yu questions how they could do this to Arthur, but says that he is lucky that he isn't listening to any of this. However, Vulcan breaks it up by telling Arthur that this is awesome, and that they can make his sword out of this, and Arthur just says that it's great news. Yu just falls to the floor as he says that he is surrounded by lunatics, while Lisa is glad that they finally found something, and Vulcan and Arthur looks hyped up as the time has come to make Excalibur. After that, we quickly see Haumea being exhausted, and we see Yona compliment her work. However, Haumea tells her to shut up and that she doesn't need to tell her that. Yona then says that the PI decoding era is already here. The time of the pillars gathering grows near as well. After that, we get to Obi thanking someone for letting them suddenly use their forge on top of everything else. The man asks if Vulcan is going to be the one to forge Arthur's new sword. Obi says yeah, and that Arthur is a strange guy, but if they can lift his spirits, then it will make him stronger. After that, we see Vulcan, who says that it isn't smelting and that they need to use thermite to supplement it. Yu says that he feels exhausted, and Lisa wonders where Arthur's family went off to. Arthur says that it's the first time they've been to the surface in ages, and that they are probably seeing the town. Suddenly, Vulcan says that they are ready, and that they now just need to pour it into the mold. Arthur looks happy as he says that he wants to see. Everyone looks super surprised as they watch Vulcan pour it down. Arthur is even trying to almost touch it with his head, but Yu is holding him back to the best of his abilities. Vulcan says that they are going to lose the initial strength of the aluminum alloy, but making a sword from a rocket is like something right out of a story. As Arthur is watching it, Lisa says that she has never seen him this happy, and after that he takes his hand up and screams, "Holy Blade," and that their master summons you, which makes everyone laugh a bit. After that, Vulcan goes out on a break, and Obi compliments his work and gives him a soda. Obi says that it looks like Vulcan is almost done, and that they sure ran into a lot of irregularities. Vulcan laughs and says that when you are dealing with Arthur, nothing's regular. However, he smiles and says that he got his hands on something incredible, saying that it's way better than what he'd planned to use from the start. Obi asks if Arthur gave him a hard time, but Vulcan says that it was fun and that it was like having a stupid little brother. Obi says that it's good, as they need Arthur to be strong just as much as they need Vulcan's tech. Vulcan says that Arthur might be an idiot, but he'd never betray their expectations. After that, Vulcan asks if they will be fighting again soon, and Obi says that they will, and that they don't have time to take it easy. He explains that he heard news from Captain Hibana that Sister Sumair became a pillar and the cause behind spontaneous human combustion, saying that the evangelist is plotting a second cataclysm, the end of their plans in sight, so they need to be preparing too, saying that the decisive battle is coming. After that, Vulcan has finished his soda and says that break time is over, cause when the battle starts, all he'll be able to do is watch from the sidelines. After that, we see Vulcan forging the blade, which looks hyped. After that, Yu gets Arthur and tells him to come quick, and as he enters, he sees Vulcan with a big smile as he asks Arthur to take a look, and that it's all done, and then we see a super dope sword leaning against the wall. Arthur takes it and looks at it closely, then Vulcan gives him something. Arthur asks Vulcan what it is, and Vulcan says that he made it from what was left of the star fragment, calling it a stellar ring, and telling Arthur to hang it from his neck, and when the time comes, he should put it on. After that, Arthur just stares at his blade before thanking Vulcan, and saying that he swears by this blade that he will never lose to anyone ever again. And Vulcan looks happy while telling him not to disappoint him, and calling him a Night King. We then sees that his parents has once again left and gone on their own adventure, leaving Arthur yet again. And this, ladies and gentlemen, has been the full and explained Arthur adventure arc, which ended off with Arthur finally getting his true Excalibur back, and is now ready to once again join the fight. Anyway, if you like Fire Force and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video that will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.